I always support you.
And I think we're live. Yeah.
Cool.
Hi, everybody.
Hi,
Can you hear
everybody.
us? Hey, hey, hey. There is a little bit of a delay when you go live. So we got 3 people watching. So
yeah, I see Foxy.
I know. I saw
Foxy's in the
Foxy. He was like, I
comments.
can't wait for this. So super fun day so far. I am lucky. So I was carrying a scratch off around in my wallet, and I decided to scratch it off today when I was waiting for the premiere with Thor and I on the psychic news report. I was waiting for that. I scratched it off and I won $100.
Did you go and buy another scratch off or another
I
ticket?
cashed it in. I did not get another scratch off, but I'm going to get a scratch off. I will get another scratch off. So I just didn't feel led to the scratch offs, but Ella was with me when we cashed it in. So what I did, the lady behind the counter, she ran a whole bunch of lottery tickets for me. So we went over and we bought her a bouquet of flowers. We were at the Acme, so we bought her a bouquet of flowers and went back up and paid for them. And I said, these are for you because, you know, it's Friday. And thank you for running our tickets.
You still have the Acme. I loved Acme and ShopRite. And what else? What were the other ones?
ShopRite is kicking butt all over the place up here.
I love ShopRite.
Acme's really expensive, though, unfortunately. So well, it is, yeah, it's a more expensive one.
They were the only places that you could get, you know, Jewish food stuff without having to. And I just love ShopRite. That was cool.
So and I am thrilled that Orion's Belt is here. Hello, my dear. So this is like a little teaser for the 101 class that I'm going to have it starting on June, the week of June 1st, it'll start. So I'm going to figure out which day that's going to be. Right now, according to my calendar, June 1st is on a Saturday, but I'm going to tinker around and see what's the best day to get everybody in. So we're going to spread the word. We're going to be talking about it for a few weeks. Like I said, June, we're going to start another 12-week session. So it will be 12 weeks, super fun, private lessons. Did I pin up at the top
Yes, you did. I saw it.
Oh, I did. Okay, good. So you can pay for the class on Square if you want to do payments. I do have an afterpay option, but if you want to pay in full, I do have tons of cash apps. So anybody that wants to ask me about the class, about what's going to go in, what you're going to learn, because we're just going to do like a little tidbit for the next few weeks. I'm just going to drop a little tidbit in here of like what the kind of stuff that you're going to learn. And Deb's here because Deb is one of my best students. And I want her to talk about how her experience was. She actually went through my class twice. Once you take my class, once you are a paying student, you can take my class over and over again. You can come in and you can visit it and you can learn some new things. I bring new things to the class every time we restart it. So it's a lot of fun and it is a lot of one-on-one. If it gets too big, I will break it up into 2 sections and make that a little bit easier for everyone because I want to give you lots and lots of hands-on support. I want to talk about the issues that you're having specifically. Anybody can go out and get a book. So, and I will show you. Please don't make my computer fall. You're going to get a big double chin out of me while I'm doing this. Oh. So we're just down a little bit.
This is called.
So any of these books, any book on tarot, any tarot deck that you get, they're going to issue a book with it. So it may be the Witch's Tarot. It may be the Rider-Waite Tarot. For me, the Radiant Rider-Waite is one of my favorite decks. It's very vibrant. It's beautiful. It's really bright. You can see all of the little details in the card much better than on a traditional deck. A traditional Rider-Waite deck, they just brightened it up for us. It's like HD Rider-Waite. But any of the books that we get on this, what happens is they start you at the beginning of the deck. So we start with the Fool and go through the major arcana, which is 22 cards. They're numbered 0. The Fool is 0, and it goes all the way up to 21. Then you go through your regular playing card deck, the minor arcana, which is just your regular playing cards, a little bit of a different suit, plus the court, which is page, knight, king, queen, king. So it is several parts of the deck. When we're reading these books about tarot, when we go and we get a tarot deck and we go through the little leaflet that's in there, or we go through the book, there's a lot of information on every single card. So what winds up happening, and what wound up happening to me as a tarot student back in 1988, so embarrassing. What happened was I would start reading the book. I would get a deck, and I would get through the Fool, and I would get through the Magician, and I know them really well. And then I would get to the High Priestess, and I would start to lose interest. Just because there's a lot of information. So it wasn't until much later in my study that I realized that there was a story to the major arcana. And so I expanded on that. I created my own technique of getting to know that major arcana. And then I developed my own technique for the pips. I think that teaching through storytelling is really the best way. We remember the stories. Those of us who live in America, who remembers Schoolhouse Rock? We learned the preamble by singing. I watched those with my kids. Yeah, I could do the whole preamble because of that. I can sing the whole thing. So
there's a technique. It's a teaching technique that you remember things when you sing them. I used to always have trouble spelling respect. So in my brain, I start doing the Aretha Franklin, and I remember how to spell, and I do that. And we used to, in school, we used to teach when you had to teach the multiplication tables, we used to sing them. And you're using different parts of your brain, and you remember better.
Right. So what I really want my students to do is I want them to understand the cards, and that way you get a better sense of how to read them later on. So the story of the Fool is basically a fool's journey through his life. We're going through his life, through the trials and tribulations. Some people call it the hero's journey. But when we start to read those cards in an active reading, what it does is tells us where that person is in their life. It's really, really interesting. So we can get hung up on the details of the cards. We can get hung up on the colors. We can get hung up on the astrological signs that go with the cards. But it's really important to have that kind of high level view of it. So Deb, what was the biggest takeaway from the class for you before we start to go into like a little mini lesson? What was the biggest takeaway for you?
I loved the PowerPoints because I did like you. I got the book out. I have 5 or 6 tarot books here, and I would get to a certain point, and then it would all just be mishmash in my brain, and I'd put it, and I would just get totally confused. And the way you tell the story, the way you take it, and we go through, and there's for me, I'm a visual learner. If you're just talking to me, it's like that squirrel, and I'm gone. And so I did what Rick Paul said: is you open up your deck and you throw the book all the way to the other side of the room, and it makes sense. But that's what really helped me.
So what adds on to that is that every reader, every author, every tarot teacher comes to the table with a different aspect of reading. So some readers, I had one student who was just so good at reading shadow self. She would get into this really nitty gritty, she would be pulling all this poison out of people in their readings, and she was just very good at that. Some people like to come to it with a Jungian perspective. There is a series of books on Jungian psychology and tarot and how they work together. There's a specific deck with Jungian tarot. It's one of my projects. If I ever have, 3 or 4 months, I'm going to sit down and really dig deep into that. Yeah, I'll go down that rabbit hole. With the Aleister Crowley deck, the Crowley Thoth Tarot, it's, that has a lot of information about the Golden Dawn. But even with the Rider-Waite deck, we have Christian symbology in there. We have Egyptian symbology in there. We have, Yesenia, another one of my students in here. Hey. So we have Freemasonry shown in the Rider-Waite deck. So sometimes you'll get a tarot teacher or an author, and they really have a specific lens that they look at tarot and they look at divination. So it's really, really important to kind of get this high level view and then figure out where you're going to go. It's kind of like being a doctor. Like, some people decide they want to be a doctor. They want to help people. They want to help people feel better. They want to help people thrive. But as they go through pre-med and medical school, they learn their specialization. So they figure out where they belong in that. And there's Shelley. Shelley. So, learning the specialization, sometimes it's a little bit difficult when we pick up a book. There are certain books that I consider very standard. The Radiant Rider-Waite bundle is an awesome bundle. The book is fantastic. It's a great resource. I strongly urge. It's really great for when you're learning. You could just kind of flip through it. The 78 Degrees of Wisdom is a phenomenal book, but again, it's a dense book. There's a lot of information crammed into those pages. So I try and give everyone a very high level view, and then we start to get into some. And there's Debs. Debs is another one of my students. Yay! So
what I wanted to say is that you, as a teacher, you're very I never felt intimidated because you're putting yourself out there, and it was like, but you even when we were off the mark, you still encouraged, and you still would say, well, no, look at this, and from my education background, I'm like, wow, yeah, that's because I would do that. They could be totally off the wall, but you don't want to what's the word I'm thinking of, uh, put them down or discourage them, and then they would never come back. And you don't do that. You encourage, and you want to find out more. Like, okay, I didn't see that, but I'm going to look for that. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, again, there's such a variety of lenses that we can come to divination with. So it makes sense to be flexible about that. Any teacher that's like, no, you must do it this way. Just for an example, when we start to teach the Celtic Cross spread, there's if you Google it, you're going to see a million of them. There isn't one. Everybody has, they're approximately the same, but everybody has a little bit of different scope on it. So, for me, that card that's all the way to the left, I always call that the suitcase card, because that's what we either need to take from the past or leave in the past. And that's unique to my spreads. I've never seen anyone else really kind of ascribe that to it. It's usually like, what skills you have or what things you need to bring with you. So I think it's a unique way that I look at it. So just to give you guys a little, there's Yesenia. Yesenia, you and your daughter were great students, and we still have to do the 13th class. And the 13th class was a bonus class because we did have one student who wasn't in, and I have everybody's certificates. I got to get those certificates out to you. So I do give a certificate at the end of the class. The 101 class is great. So let's start with just a little bit of what I do. Sonia, yeah, you know what? Here, let me bring up Sonia's question. So Sonia, I'm one of those people. I think that there are individuals out and about that are ill-intended. I think that we always have agency over darkness. One of the things that I'm very strong with my students about is setting up and closing down. My mediumship students, I had a young gal. I talk about her all the time. She was a young gal. She was in the midst of building her family and having children. So there was a lot of hormones, a lot of activity, a lot of energy around her. And she was a true medium. She would have entities come to her. And she came to me for coaching because she said, I'm up and down all night with the youngest, the baby. And then I've got these entities coming and talking to me, and I need you to help them go away. And I said, well, they don't have to go away. Like, we don't have to get rid of your skills, but set hours for yourself. Like set hours. Like, you're psychic between 10 a.m. and 12:30 p.m. when the baby's taking first nap of the day. Or you could do from 9 to 5, when your schedule opens up. You don't have to be an open channel all day long. If you walk into the DMV or the grocery store or something like that, you're going to get blasted with a whole bunch of information and a whole bunch of nonsense that you don't want to pick up from other people. So, being open up to spiritual attack, we want to come to the table with the purpose of helping and healing. When you become a being of light, when you are intentional about helping and healing others, you will not have those darker entities come to you. Like attracts like. So if we become light, if we become peace and help, people that need peace and help are going to come to us. Now, do we occasionally get clients that show up that are very needy and maybe a little bit toxic? Yeah, sometimes that happens, and we try our best to steer them in the right direction. But do I have weird things showing up? Absolutely not. I do my protection ritual on my property every single day. I surround myself with white light. I surround my property with white light. I surround my neighbors with white light. We have a real nice white light community going on over here. So, wifey does the same thing. Envision this bubble of white light. I breathe it in through my head and breathe it out through my mouth, and I just blow like a big sparkly bubble. So,
I have wind chimes. I have a wind chime on my front porch, a big one, and then I got one on the back porch, and that's what I use.
The chimes are a great idea. I do like sound cleansing. We have we have a brass sound bowl, and we also have a crystal sound bowl that my mother sent me that is absolutely phenomenal. And wifey says, yes, fear attracts them. It can, you have to spiritually feed yourself correctly. So, like, I'm not saying never watch a scary movie again, but if you like binge watch scary movies for like 5 years, like, you're going to see some of the spooky stuff. What you focus on is what your reality becomes. So, watch a spooky movie every now and then. Don't make it a steady diet. Throw a Quentin Tarantino movie in there, throw a, Meryl Streep movie in there, throw, crazy movies in there, comedies, those kinds of things, cartoons, whatever's your gig, mix it up. But when we do our spiritual practice, when we are using divination for clients, when we are doing spiritual counseling with our clients, we always want to come with the spirit of helping and healing them. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a psychologist, but I can provide comfort and direction for my clients in a safe and gentle way, but because I'm coming to them with this light. So, I think if you want to talk about it a little bit more, everybody, I'm going to put my email in here. It is Fortune. Am I spelling that right? Cookies Tarot at gmail.com. Super fancy email. Anybody that has any questions about the course or is interested in the course, like I said, we're going to start it in June. We're gonna have a new 12-week section in June. It's usually weekly classes, providing I don't have a thing that we have to bump it. And again, if I do get too many people in there, I will make 2 sections of it just so that you get personalized attention. And I do like coaching sessions with you guys. Some of my students from the last session, they still have their coaching sessions that they have to go through. Sonia, when you sometimes see people out
I
of the
forgot
corner of your
that.
eye, that is absolutely your vision. When I work with mediumship students, one of the things that you can do is you can stand in doorways. Doorways are thresholds, and you can peek out that way, and you'll see a lot of cool stuff that way.
Yeah.
Just know that, this is something that I tell my students all the time. We're not going to bring anything in that's bad.
Right.
So
Right.
if you are fortunate enough to have a poltergeist or an active, demonstrative entity show up at your house, you're going to be a millionaire. Call TLC, call any of the networks out there, Netflix. They're going to bring a film crew in, they're going to get it on film, and you're going to be a millionaire. So in that sense, you have to look at it as a blessing. So how I start my class is we do talk about the history of tarot. So I think it's really important to understand where some of these decks are coming from. And I do think it's important to really understand, why we use cards. Now, originally, we say throw cards because we think that the original systems of divination were sticks. And we would throw those cast them on the ground or cast bones on the ground, and the shamans or the leaders or the magicians in the tribes that were out there would read those. They would just divine them. Do we need tarot cards to be psychic, Deborah?
No. And
No.
that was my biggest hurdle, and you showed me that no, you don't, and sure enough.
Yeah. So I work as a medium, I work as a tarot reader, I work as a remote viewer. I can do all kinds I can see all kinds of stuff. The cards are a tool, and they work great on YouTube because it's visual. You guys can see it. I can kind of explain the story as it goes along. So I like that. I don't do a lot of remote viewing on my channel because it's kind of boring to watch me remote view. So there's a lot of writing, there's a lot of sketching that I do. So the couple of times that I did do a remote view, I did the remote view off camera, and then I came on and talked just about what I had come up with. Deb, you just did your first remote viewing too. You thought it was really cool, right?
It was cool. I don't know where the heck I went, but it was very cool.
Yeah, it was super fun. Remote viewing. I am not a remote viewing instructor. I do want to stress that. Lori Williams has a course at intuitivespecialist.com that is phenomenal. She has an online course, and she also has a in-person course. I believe it's in New Mexico, and I think they have another location. But I leave that to her because I am a novice remote viewer. I am not a professor of remote viewing. So I think it's really cool. So at some point in my life, I may be a professor of remote viewing, but I think it's a really neat thing. But, with tarot, with Lenormand cards, with any of our divination, runes, casting stones, anything like that, it's all just the tool that helps us trigger the psychic ability. So how does it do that? What happens is we trick our logical mind into focusing on the cards, what the cards mean, what the stones are formed as, how they're matching up, how the sticks are matching up. We trick our logical mind into paying attention to that so that our psychic mind can kind of take the wheel and start to tell a story. And we start to get flashes that are like the aperture of a camera. It just goes, you'll get little flashes, and you'll see things. The more and more you practice, the more that starts to come to life. So you'll see more stories. You'll see the story unfold like a movie in your head. It's very, very cool. Especially with remote viewing, it's really cool. So let's do a little bit of the history of tarot. So originally, we do think that we were casting stones, casting sticks, and eventually, someone decided that we needed to get something more comprehensive, and we had playing cards. So we started to play with those playing cards and started doing that. The Visconti Sforza, those decks are the original. They come out of Europe. And what we started, or what I can tell you is that currently the Visconti Sforza Tarot is about 15 sets of incomplete decks. They come from the 15th century. The most famous, the most important are the Pierpont Morgan Bergamo from 1451. It was composed of 78 cards. Now it has 74. It's the same construction. There's a major arcana, or trumps, they call them, the minor arcana, and the face cards, or court cards that we see. So a lot of these decks are missing a lot of cards. They've just been lost due to time. The Carrie Yale is another deck. It is from 1466. This may be the oldest deck, but the scholars really dispute what the oldest deck is. There's a lot of conversation about that. This particular deck has 78 cards. I'm just going through my notes. The Barrera Bambila. That deck is named after Giovanna Brambilla, who he acquired the cards in Venice in 1900. That means the cards were made, but he obtained them. There's only 48 cards with only 2 trumps. One of the interesting thing about the family of Visconti Sforza cards is that wealthy families would commission them. So what they could do, if they wanted their dear Aunt Tilly to be noted on a card, they could actually commission to have dear Aunt Tilly and whatever her personality was immortalized on the card. It was a very, very cool thing. Keep in mind, most of these decks, they are from very, very wealthy families that of note. Not just your regular everyday family, like normal people like me. Greg and I would not be, commissioning a deck back in the 1400s. So next deck is the Tarot of de Marseille. When I first started, I would say the Marseille all the time, and I would pinch myself to say Marseille. So this is sorry, I'm going through my notes here, guys. Just trying to do it. It is a standard Italian suited deck, 78 cards. We do have the entire one. And guys, I can see some of you are asking questions. I'm going to scroll back to them in just a minute. It was probably created in Milan, but it spread to much of Europe, France, Switzerland, Northern Italy. It is sometimes spelled a little bit different, Tarot of Marseille, a little bit different. The name that most people do want you to say is the Tarot de Marseille. So it was the pack which led to the occult use of tarot cards. The Visconti Sforza were used mainly for playing cards. They were later used as divination cards, but the Marseille was used as a divination deck. So it's a very interesting deck. It is not my favorite. I'm going to be honest. And there's a lot of teachers and tarot scholars that say, oh, you're not a real reader if you don't read with the Marseille. The reason being is that the pips, the playing card portion, does not have the imagery that the Rider-Waite does. So we don't get those clues and hints from the actions that are taking place in the Rider-Waite minor arcana. So this one, I do like it. It leans very heavily into numerology, which is, strictly based for this deck. There is a process of numerology. I like the deck. I don't love it. I'm going to be honest. There is a deck called the Squid Cake Marseille, which is much more modern and cartoony kind of imagery. And I like that one. I actually like that deck. So I'm not opposed to using a deck that doesn't have imagery for the minor arcana. But the Tarot Marseille, de Marseille does not appeal to me aesthetically. It's just not one that I really like. So that is our second deck. And We're going to go into our next deck, and just bear with me because I'm trying to get to my next slide. And are we not going to the next slide? Just bear with me, guys. Sorry, y'all. There we go. Come on, show up. Whoops. Calm down. Whoop. Oh, I'm on the wrong one. Sorry, kids. I was looking at the wrong deck. So that brings us to the Rider-Waite, which was our first commercially mass-produced tarot deck strictly for tarot readings. We're not playing poker with these. So it was based on the illustrations from A.E. Waite. He was a Freemason. So hence and it was commissioned. So hence a lot of Freemasonry and Christian symbols in there as well. It was illustrated by Pamela Coleman Smith. One of the things we never would have known about Pamela Coleman Smith. She actually was kind of buried in this until much, much later into the 1900s. And then we kind of tweezed her out and gave her due, which was really nice. They were both members of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. This deck was originally published in 1909 with the Rider Company, and it is estimated that more than 100 million copies of this deck exist to this day. So super, super important deck. You know, like I said, this is the first deck that we use for divination. So, and this is my personal favorite, and I don't read with it on the channel very much, but I do read with it with my clients. This is the Thoth Tarot. This is the Aleister Crowley deck. This is one of the decks that everybody's afraid of. And there's a fun story about this. So when I got my first Rider-Waite deck, I said, "Oh, this is neat. You know, I'm learning and learning and learning." And then one day I went in, and I had some friends that were very much into Aleister Crowley. They were a bunch of members of a death metal band, and they were very much into Aleister Crowley and the Golden Dawn and all of the hullabaloo that goes around that. So I saw the Thoth Tarot in there, and it's a fairly large deck. I have it right here. It's bigger than I think it's the biggest deck that I have. And I pulled it out and I said, I can do this. I can read with this deck. Holy moly. The Thoth Tarot takes all of the information from the Rider-Waite. So we've got Christianity, we've got Egyptology, we've got Freemasonry, we've got color symbology, we've got numerology, and it added all of the Golden Dawn information. It added so much more to it. There's much more alchemy that's in there. There's much more astrology. There's much more astronomy is in there as well. It's really an intense deck. I tell people that the Thoth Tarot is really your PhD of being a tarot reader. It's not an impossible deck. However, it will take you some time to get really, really comfortable with it. It is a beautiful deck. And I see Orion is saying the Thoth was her first deck. She found it under a tree in the park in 1999. It's awesome. It is an easy deck to fall in love with. I will say the Star Tarot, which is commercially very, very available. That deck actually is the one that kind of warmed me up to using the Thoth again. So I got much, much more comfortable with it. And Anna Perkins said it. Aleister Crowley, once dubbed the most wicked man on earth. He actually gave himself that moniker. He is a very complicated character. And if you do any reading on him, if you do any research into him, you're going to be.
What happened? Is that me?
No, I lost my mic for a second.
Okay.
Can you hear
I
me
thought
now?
it was my connection. I'm thinking, okay, what's going on here?
No, it's me. Where'd you lose me? Where did I fall out?
Um, you started talking about uh, he gave himself that name, and
Yeah. So if you do any research on Aleister Crowley, you're going to find you come away from it with very mixed review. He's a very interesting person. Diary of a Drug Fiend is someplace where you can start to kind of jump into his world. It's you come away not knowing if he was a genius or if he was wackadoodle or it's very hard to kind of pin him down. Me personally, he was not very nice to cats, so I kind of
mm,
don't like him that much. But I like his deck. I like his deck. And I would love to go see the house. I believe it's at Loch Ness. He had a home there, and allegedly there's portals in it, and there's all kinds of crazy stuff. But it was Jimmy Page had actually bought it from Led Zeppelin. He lived in it, so it's kind of more the Jimmy Page thing that I would like to go hang out at that house, but it burned down, and there's a historical society that is trying to correct it. So so that brings us to the Thoth deck. In my class, I also go into a great deal of the notable figures. I just touched on a few of them here: Pamela Coleman Smith, Aleister Crowley, A.E. White. But there's a lot more characters in the world of tarot that have contributed to it. Hopefully one day I will be one of them. I will be someone that they talk about in the future. But so we'll talk a little bit, because this is just going to give you guys a taste. Again, I'm going to have another 12-week class that starts in June. All of my old students are former students, not old students, but my former students are invited to come and sit in and contribute and learn some of the new stuff that I may add to the class. But we'll talk a little bit about how the deck works now. So the structure of the deck, this is where we break it down. So just bear with me. I'm pulling up my notes on the other side, boys and girls.
I'm just going to put a plug in. If you've ever been interested in learning tarot or are already doing it, it is such a worthwhile class. I got so much out of it that I didn't even. She opened up things for me that I think I had buried for a while, and it's fascinating. It's really worth the money.
So thank you, Debbie. That's so nice. And the thing with tarot is that you can help yourself, you can help others. I've got you. Debbie's got a brand new YouTube channel out there.
Yeah,
So,
it's coming. It's in dribs and drabs.
but I also have her participating in the Wifey, I know you put Deb's link up there. Could you just do that again? Because I'm scrolling back and I can't quite find it. And I'll pop it up on the
Oh,
screen.
she's so
Um,
nice. Thank you. There's nothing. I mean, I'm going slow.
It's
I
a
am.
mod squad. But that's
Baby
great.
baby steps.
The psychic news report, which was I was talking to Shelly just earlier on the phone, and the psychic news report was actually a vision that I had back in like 2021, and I really wanted to make that happen. So the fact that it's coming together with such a great crew of people, I think it's amazing.
It is a great.
But I
I have
appreciate you.
more fun on there, and it's an. I love that show, and I'm
It's
so
going to get
honored to
better
be
and
part of it.
better.
And I'm so honored to be part of it. I really am.
Well, I am so honored that you would be a part of it, because it really is a great time, and we're really having some fun with it. We're going to do some good things. So as soon as Wifey puts up that link, I will pop it up on the screen so you can all go and subscribe to Debbie, or if you already did, thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the structure of the deck is, and I really recommend that my students learn the deck in this order. Major Arcana first. You can do readings with the Major Arcana. That is, and there's Debbie's link right there. You guys, everybody go over and give her a like. She's going to be putting videos up she's going to be slow and steady, wins the race. She's going to be
That's
putting
it.
stuff up there.
Thank
It's
you,
going to be great,
wifey.
though.
Thank
Thank you,
you, Anna.
wifey.
Thank you,
So,
Anna.
so I tell people learn the major arcana first, because it really does tell a whole story, and you can actually do a really good reading with it. So I wouldn't be afraid. Like, it's not like you're gonna miss out on you're not going to miss out on anything. You're not going to have any, I describe the major arcana as the nouns and proper nouns, and the minor arcana, the regular playing cards, they are the adjectives. So it just will give more flavor to your reading. It's just going to add more into what you get to see. So you'll be able to unlock plenty of information with the major arcana, though. So our major arcana, we've got our major parts, major arcana, minor arcana. The major arcana, when you start reading with the full deck, will start to point out big events in someone's life, marriages, births, and karmic events. The minor arcana is going to talk about smaller issues. I always say, if Margie across the, next to you in the next cube in your office is really annoying, she'll show up in the minor arcana, but your husband's going to show up in the major arcana. The court cards are characters and attributes. They're going to be specific people, but they're going to be also the intention, the vibe of people. An example of this, our King of Swords. Our King of Swords is very logical. He's a decision maker. He can be a counselor. He can be a doctor. He can be a surgeon. When he goes in the reverse, he can be a manipulator, using his intellect for a negative purpose. So you get lots of flavor with that. So the minor arcana, let's get to that. I'm just matching up my notes here. So smaller teachings. This deck does represent the playing card deck, which is very similar to either Lenormand or the Joseph Magi method. The Joseph Magi method I love. He has his own method. He also has a YouTube channel. If you're not aware of him, he's awesome. So this is just basically a playing card deck. You can actually do divination with a playing card deck. There's a commercially made deck called the Gypsy Witch a divination deck or something like that. It's really cute. It's a playing card deck and they have little pictures on it. You can actually use one of those. With the Joseph Magi deck, when you're learning his system, he does recommend that you get a playing card deck and you mark it up so that you can learn the different meanings and not mark up your commercial Joseph Magi deck, which I totally agree with. So we have, whoops, sorry guys. I'm just going back and forth here. We have some different suits. So while your playing card decks have, what are they? Diamonds, hearts, clubs, and spades. So we have the same ones, okay, but they're just a little bit different. So what we have are wands, which are clubs, swords, which are spades, hearts, which are cups. Wait a minute, did I get that right? I don't know if I got it right. The wands are clubs, the swords are spades, the hearts are cups, and the diamonds are pentacles. I did get it right. Okay. So it's basically the same construction. We have ace through 10. There is numerology. When I teach it like we're building a house. So ace, we get the idea that we're going to build a house. 10, we go to sleep in the house. And the in-between are different levels of how we approach the house. For my teaching purposes, I teach our houses are very different according to the suit. So our wands house is going to look a little different. Swords house is going to look a little different. Cups house is going to look a little different. The pentacles house is going to be a little different. So, and that will help you again through storytelling. You're going to learn these suits a little bit more easily. So let's look at the court cards. We're going to take a quick peek at the court cards. And there we go. The court cards are going to represent personalities, appearance, vocation, work ethic, and intent, how people are behaving. Sometimes it will color a situation. For example, if we have a business idea, someone's working on a business idea and they get the King of Wands, that's going to be a great idea. It's going to be very energetic. It's going to be very fiery, very creative. We're going to have a lot of that in there. So the court cards, the suits, I just want to give you this little wrinkle too. The suits also have a speed. So our wands are the fastest because they're represented by fire. Fire will flame up and burn down. The swords are represented by wind. They're a little slower. The cups are represented by water, which is emotional and a little bit slower than that. And then our pentacles are earth, and they are super, super slow, super not moving very quickly, but flourishing. So that will give you the idea. So if we have, say, a relationship, if we're doing a relationship reading and I get wands instead of hearts, that may be a fast and furious relationship that we're going to see go through really quickly. What else can we talk about in here? So just see what this is. They can also represent the court cards. They go page, knight, queen, king. They can represent a family unit. They can represent military rank, from a private to a general. They can also represent the court structure in a traditional monarchy of sorts. They can also represent that. So it does represent the level of maturity, the level of authority in some circumstances. So they do get very, very detailed and interesting. There are certain physical attributes that are associated with some of the cards. For example, the pentacles is dark hair, dark eyes, darker skin, olive skinned. The wands can be more reddish hair, blonde hair, green eyes in that case. So there are specifics, but that doesn't mean, if you flip out a queen of cups, it's blonde haired and blue eyed only. We're going to get some variation there. So I'm going to scroll up and see if we have any questions. Debbie, did I leave anything out that they should know?
I looked. There was someone in the chat that was talking about reversals.
Yeah, I saw that too. I saw it sneak by, and I'm trying to find that. Oh, hi, Samantha Mustard. I hope you're doing well.
Oh, hi, Samantha. Yes. Hugs and kisses.
Thanks, Sally, on my $100 win.
If my dogs they're being good, so I'm not jinxing it. They'd come over and lick the screen or something.
Well, they know we're in school.
Yeah, that's true. They're being very good, which I'm like, whoa. When they were when on reversals, and I have to put this in for me, I was scared to death. I thought, oh my God, I'm never going to remember this. Now it's like, and you had such a good way of introducing and showing, like, don't be afraid. It's okay. It's just it's not what did you say? It's not opposite, but it's I can't remember the wording you used, but
so some readers don't read reversals at
yes,
all. Okay,
I've noticed
here we go. There's Penny.
Yeah.
Penny was the one with the reversal question.
Right.
Some readers, some decks don't even lend themselves to reversals. For example, like the Tarot de Marseille. You can get a really rich reading without going into reversals on those, especially because the pips are very hard in the original decks to decipher. Like sometimes I'm squinting at them. They're much easier in the Squid Cake one, in case you want to get a Marseille deck. But how I tell people to read their reversals, I make it even more complicated. Every tarot card has an upright reading and a reversal reading,
Right,
but they
right.
also have an increasing energy, stable
And
energy,
right.
and decreasing energy,
That's what I was
both in
trying to
the
remember.
upright and the reversal. So I want you to always look at it as a spectrum. And those decreasing and increasing energies, or declining and inclining energies, those will come to you intuitively after you've had some level of study. It does. I do want people to get used to, if you were learning a language, which tarot really is a language. If you were learning a language, you wouldn't say, okay, I'm going to go read War and Peace in French today because I've studied French for 15 minutes on Duolingo. Like that's just not a reality. So you should aim small, miss small, use the upright, use the reversal, and you can kind of adjust the meaning of
Yes.
it. Initially, when you start, you can do opposites if you want. You can say, okay, it's going to mean the exact opposite of the upright. As you get better and better, you're going to find that there's subtleties that come through with your intuition. Maybe it's a blocked energy. Maybe it's a stagnant energy. Maybe it is an energy that you don't want to go through. So, for an example, say we have the Chariot card. The Chariot card upright is progress, manifestation, moving into your future, making things happen, not being stagnant. If you get that in reverse, maybe it's a reluctance to move forward. Maybe it is an inability to move forward, but your intuition is going to lend that to you. So, great question there. I'm going to scroll through and see if we
It
have
is
any
very
more.
the way you teach it. I'm not afraid anymore of them. I just kind of they come out and I go okay, and I just go with the flow. And everything you said is true.
Yeah, and I see people talking about toolboxes here. I give my students a lot of tools to work with
Yes, she does.
their decks.
Yes, she does.
I do like them to start out on the Rider Waite, but just because there's such a wealth of information on it, they can easily decipher all of the symbology that's in there just by a quick Google search, or just jumping into the little leaflet that comes with your book, or with your deck. You can just jump in there and you can kind of get some answers there. But like Shelley said, like the reversals are not, it's not required. You don't have to do
Right,
it.
right.
My good
There's
friend
some
Alicia
there's
Wicker.
some there's some
Oh,
tarot readers on YouTube that I watch that do not do reversals at all. They
yeah,
just
Alicia Wicker, my good buddy over there in
um,
California. She doesn't do
what's the guy
reversals at
in
all.
what's the guy in Australia? Oh shoot, what is his
Oh
name?
Lord, famous
Oh,
fortunes.
I love him. He doesn't read reversals, so it's
Lord
like
of the
okay,
pigs. I love
I
it when he
know
brings the guinea pigs out.
the guinea pigs out. I know it's so cute.
The pigs. I love Panda. Panda's my favorite, I think.
I had a
So,
guinea pig when I was teaching, and our dare officer used to feed her when I wasn't looking, and I couldn't figure out why every time he would come in the room, she'd go like nuts. And then he finally confessed. He said, "Well, that's because I share my lunch with her." And I'm like, "Oh, great."
uh, I'm just going through. Hi, Sue Potter. Yeah, Alicia doesn't read reversal. So, it's wild. Like when Alicia and I do readings together, I like the mashup. That there's certain things that she doesn't do. There's certain things that I don't do. It's a good mashup. Um, and Sue Potter says, I find that reading the reversals has to blend with the rest of the card, and that's true.
Yes,
You
that's
can't
very
look at
true.
the individual cards. You always have to look
Right.
at what else is going around them.
That's
I
very
do
true.
on my channel, the 7 card spread that I do 5 cards in a chronology, and then I do a dominant energy and an underneath energy, like a secret energy. You really have to look where the cards are. And when I do that 7 card reading, wherever my dominant energy card or where my shadow self energy card lands, because I don't have a specific place. If it lands on a different card, I always read those together. In my Celtic cross, I always read the 3 cards up and down, the 3 cards across together, and then I'll read the last card of the cross with the last card of the step up the side. And the step up the side, I always like to read those together too. So, you know, once you have the basics and once you're guided through the progression of all of the parts of the deck, once you understand, you're going to start to be able to develop your own flair. And I do encourage that. I want my students to have their own flair. I want them to find a really cool deck. Debbie, didn't you get like a really cool deck during the class? Didn't you get like an exotic deck?
Oh gosh. I have to behave myself because it's like a I got the one that you always use that I fell in love with. Well, there's two of them.
The Star Tarot, right?
Yes, I love that one. I love it. That
That's
was
a
the
great
one.
deck.
And then I got, of course, I love these. I like everything like antique-y, and it just I just fell in love with them. I
Yeah.
have to behave myself because yeah, I get in trouble real fast.
Well, I think I'm gonna do I was thinking I was gonna do an online auction, but I think I'm just gonna do an eBay page because I have too many decks. I gotta lighten my load. I just have too many decks and I want to spread the love around a little. So Wifey has a question. Don't the cards read on the current energy in the path that someone is on at the moment? Yes and no. So yes, you
That's
can.
a good person.
That's a really good question. So, you know, that's one of the things about being a psychic and being a medium. If you're learning tarot, you can read inductively and you can choose to read past, present, or future. And that means when I say inductive, I just want you to read like the dictionary meanings of the cards. But as you start to use them more and more, the idea is we want to, I mean, anybody can read the cards. You can get an app and you can do that. But you want to have a medium, a psychic, start to look beyond what's on those little pieces of paper that you're holding there. So, yes, you can do the energies that are present, but you can also go into the past, you can go into the future, and you can do that all in one reading. You don't have to say, well, I'm just going to do this spread and I'm just going to talk about what happened in the past. A lot of times when individuals come to me and they say, I don't know what I want you to read on, just kind of go there. I usually get like the Cliff's Notes version of what's been going on in their life in that first spread. And I'm like, okay, what's going on with this? Did you leave your job? Did you get a new car? Did you break up with somebody? Did you get a date with somebody? Did you find the love of your life? And then from there, we kind of establish that baseline. And for a lot of my students or a lot of my clients, that's like a trust factor. If they're a new client, they're like, oh my God, how did you know that? You know, we had I don't want to divulge who it was, Debbie, but after my students graduate, I do offer them opportunities to observe active readings. I have an active reading listed in my scheduler that people can get a little bit of a discount and my students will come and observe. And if the client wants, the students will contribute at the end of it. I do give them the opportunity to have some student input as well. But one of my clients, I was doing the reading with observation and I immediately saw PF Chang's and I said, PF Chang's, you know, I was like, something's going to happen outside PF Chang's. So she goes, oh yeah, there's one right around the corner. Now I know for us, like we have like one PF Chang's in like 100 miles. So, you know, it's not like McDonald's.
Not me.
Exactly.
Yeah, no.
So,
Thank you, Sue. Sue made a comment. She loves I call him Baby Yoda. I know he's got another name, but I like Baby Yoda. And then
what
all my
is his
minions
name? The child or group?
Yeah,
Go,
no,
go,
it's
Guru.
Guru, or yeah, I always mess that up. So Baby Yoda, and then all the minions I got from because my students went, "You like that?" I said, "I love the minions," and it's yeah. There's so many. I got them in the closet. I can't put them out. It's like it's an obsession. It is. But they can do stuff that normal people can't do. So you know,
Yeah.
like smack people
Yeah.
if you get yeah.
Boom.
But real seriously, please, 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 if you are thinking of, she is a phenomenal teacher. Please her class is so worth it, and you will have so much fun, and then you will gain a friend for life. That's what I was just curious, and I went, okay, let me see what maybe, and I was hooked. And
now we're friends.
yeah, I know. You got another crazy ex-New Yorker, half Italian crazy person down here. So
well, we got to stick together.
I know.
We're the only ones that understand each other.
That's it.
But Deb, thanks so much for coming on and talking about the class.
I enjoy it, and for you, I would do anything. You are phenomenal, and you just. Oh yeah, my natives are getting restless too. So I love you too, wifey. But really, it is just so worth it. You guys will have a blast and you'll learn so much, because what I'm a history nut, and so is Anna, and she kind of combines the two, and it's really fascinating. Well, guys, I'm going oh, she muted herself. I'll stay on until she comes back.
I was just going to grab Raven because
I have to go.
Yeah, my time is up.
Yeah, the natives are getting restless. Mine are standing in the doorway staring at me like, Mom, it's p.o'clock. We have to go.
We've got lawn mowing going on, and I think there's
oh yes, that's here. The axe murderer. Yes, we have the UPS man axe murderer, and so they're literally are standing, they're looking in the door, looking at me like, well, and use an expletive there. Are you going to come? We have to go. So you guys have thank you, everybody, and please sign up for her class. It is so worth it.
Thank you. So anybody that's interested, just send over an email. We can set up a little meeting. We can talk if you have some more questions about the class. I'll do some mini classes coming up too. We'll just do like a little mini class. Maybe we'll do a class on like a specific card. So, we'll have a good time with this, but I do have a class starting in June. Yay. We're going to have a summer class. So, I may do it out on the deck. I may do it out on the lanai. We'll all
you're so new, y'all. Out of the lanai on the deck. Oh my God.
On the
Can
deck,
I come?
on the lanai.
You're so
oh my
Jersey.
God.
Oh my God.
All right,
bye-bye, guys.
Well, thanks for stopping by. Thank you again, Debbie. You are the best. I will see you guys later. Okay.